Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports, Stare Down Greatness, and I won't lie to you. I almost debated no showing like the Colts D. Heartbroken is the best way to put it. Monday Night Football is over. The playoffs are basically all but set at this point. We basically know who's going to be where. It's just a matter of seeding and finishing off seeding, and so basically we know who's going to be in, and it's just up to seeding. We'll talk about the game last night. Very interesting performance by the Colts, but we got NFL Week 16 as well to talk about as a whole. We're going to look into the awards market because there are some massive awards that kind of swung with some big games this weekend, and it also seems like the MVP is down to two men now. So we got a little bit of that to talk about, and then we'll finish off with some of the bowl game scores and then talk a little bit about the college football playoffs and the look ahead we'll have to tomorrow. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these blowouts. We'll quickly touch on the Thursday night game that was just wild. Rams ended up losing 38-37 in overtime. Seattle just completely turned it on in the fourth quarter it was about 8 minutes ago. It looks like the game's just absolutely dead. The Rams were up 30-14 at one point. Absolutely just playing amazing football. And then, like I said, it was around the 8:03 mark when there was a punt so the Rams got an interception just a little bit before that. Colby Turner did. Seems like, all right, so this game's probably over. Sam Darnold just threw a second pretty bad interception. Seahawks are dead, right? Well, the Rams get kind of held out. They end up punting it. Seahawks score. Seahawks score again very quickly. All of a sudden, this becomes a game. It goes to overtime. Rams end up losing in overtime after the Seahawks go for two and actually get it. It was a really fun game overall. If you bet on the Rams, absolute heartbreaker how they kind of blew that game. But overall, it's a football game. We truly did get two great prime time games with Thursday or bookends with Thursday and Monday. Monday, sadly, the score got away from it a little bit late, but they were still a fun game to watch overall. But heartbreaking loss for the Rams because that kind of was for the one seed and for the division at this point. They don't control their destiny anymore, and Seattle plays 49ers. That game could end up becoming massive. But basically, based on schedule, from what I've seen, Seattle Seahawks 49ers play each other. That's going to be massive. The Rams have two cupcakes. They should not lose either of their next two games. I mean, it is the NFL, so it's not a cupcake, but based on how talented the Rams are versus these other two teams, it should be two easy wins for the Rams. The Rams need the Seahawks to lose one of their next two games to the Panthers and 49ers. It doesn't matter which, because in either scenario, where the Rams and Seahawks both finish 13-4, Los Angeles holds the division tiebreaker and the record in common games. So that's how the Rams can kind of shoot themselves back into the one seed after that massive loss, but they control their own destiny if they're able to win that game. Tough loss for them, but they still have a chance because realistically, the Seahawks can lose both of those games. And yeah, the NFC, excuse me, not the NFC, yeesh. The 49ers even have a shot at the one seed, so that's something else to look out for. Titans just beat the Chiefs 26-9. We're going to start going over some of the blowouts. Travis Kelce didn't do anything really in this game. The Chiefs' offense as a whole really didn't do anything. Gardner Minshew went out early with a knee injury, but that was just a team that I was an idiot for putting 15 on them and pick them. Absolute idiot because instantly right away you could tell they just had no energy at all, no juice. This score is not surprising at all. The Titans won 26-9. The Titans showed up ready to play football to beat a team. The Chiefs showed up like a dead man walking that had nothing to play for and no real reason to keep going. And now they're down to third string quarterback, so they're probably toast for the rest of the season at this point. They might as well just keep losing and try to get a little bit better pick at this point. It's not too shocking, but that was insane how uninspiring that game was for the Chiefs. 49ers, Colts, we'll hold off on that one. That one was at least a little bit closer, but there was actually some decently close games, but a lot of these games end up being decently close, so we'll just kind of run through them as important. Eagles win 29-18. I just won't lie. I totally forgot how close some of these games were. Jordan Love is practicing today, limited capacity, but he's still in concussion protocol that just announced, and Malik Willis is also in limited capacity, so there's a really good chance that I don't know who's going to end up starting. Jordan Love, with a concussion, you would think he'd miss 1 week, but Malik Willis is also dealing with some injuries, but every game is really important for the Packers to make the playoffs, so you wouldn't be shocked if either of them end up playing. But back to the Eagles. This is Saturday. We'll just do it in order. Saturday, Eagles Commanders, they win 29-18. This game, Commanders really didn't put up too much of a fight overall. This just looked like I mean, it wasn't the prettiest win for the Eagles, but they just got the job done. They did what they really needed to, and that's just kind of the best way to put it. They are looking really good, especially with the Cowboys loss. I mean, I think they've locked up the division at this point, and yeah, it's crazy to think that just how bad that division was going into the season. You thought, hey, there's a chance that 3 of these teams might make the playoffs, and Commanders just completely fell off a cliff with injuries and everything. Cowboys, they just started off really bad, then finally was able to get hot for a little bit, but it was just too little too late. As for the other Saturday night game, Packers-Bears. This is going to be a really fun game overall. Packers go up early. Malik Willis gets a touchdown in the third quarter. And then the Bears are forced to kick a field goal. Packers kick another field goal. And at that point, you're thinking, like, okay, so they probably have this in control. Bears get a field goal with 2:04 left. Then they get an insane onside. Then not only do they get an insane onside, on fourth down, they get a touchdown pass as well. So then that ties the game to go in overtime. Bears are able to, I can't remember exactly how overtime went, but I think they were able to get a stop. Then the Bears got the ball. But at this point, by the way, Jordan Love is knocked out with a concussion. Malik Willis has been in for about 2 to 3 quarters. And the Bears are able to get a massive big play to touchdown to DJ Moore, and they win the game. I'll admit, it's to the point where the Bears have impressed me enough where I'm just going to start. I mean, I guess I'm going to start believing. They've won a lot of games. 49ers is going to be another good test for them. Wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game, but if that's another game where they win, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. But this Bears team's been playing good, and Caleb Williams each week. I'll admit, that's the thing that's kind of kept me off with Caleb Williams, but each week he's been looking like a way better quarterback. Looks a lot more comfortable in the scheme. Not only is he more comfortable in the scheme, but the turnovers are also down as well, which is a huge factor for him. And to go along with that, I mean, that defense is just keep forcing turnovers. So, I mean, when it comes to the playoffs, will that win them games? Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter at this point. They just are balling, and the defense just keeps winning them. They just keep doing it. That's the best. It's truly impressive. It's starting to get to a point where it's like, man, they just keep forcing turnovers. I mean, you look at a team like the Jets, who we can kind of talk about that game in and out before we fully jump into it. They haven't got an interception in 16 games, and the Bears are just forcing turnovers at an insane rate. So it goes to prove like it is a luck factor a bit, but their defense is also just balling out. So it's going to be interesting. There's a chance that when it comes to playoff matchups, it might be Bears-Packers again in the first round, which would be both of those teams have split the series at this point, so it would be the ultimate trilogy match. And I wouldn't lie to you, it'd be hard not to take the Bears after what they've done now the last couple of weeks. Jets Saints, but to go into that game fully now, Saints win 29-6. Sounds like it's kind of the Taysom Hill send-off, so I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to end up. I didn't realize fully that he's retiring. They're making it sound like it was his last game in what's the name? Mercedes-Benz. So that was kind of, I just didn't know that going into the weekend. So that's just something I'm just going to keep an eye on on the radar. Yeah, so I'm curious if it's a retirement thing or if it's just they're going to let him go. I would assume it'd be retiring more than letting him go. It feels like Taysom Hill's probably a Saint for the rest of his career, but we're just going to have to see. Like I said, I'll keep an eye out to see if I hear any more news in the coming weeks. Chargers, they win 34-17. This game looked like it was going to be close for a bit, and then the Chargers were just able to keep them at bay enough to go into half. I think it was 21-17, and then they were just able to keep them at bay the whole second half, just completely shut them down. Marion Hampton was able to score a touchdown in his return. In our second game back from his return. Justin Herbert threw for 300 yards, had a really good game. Dak threw for 244. From going to being injured to having 104 and a touchdown, Quentin Johnson had an absolute insane game. Like, it sounded like he wasn't going to play at all really this week, and then all of a sudden he's able to play. And Chargers has a massive win for them. They're 34-17. They're now second in the AFC West. I'm pretty sure the Denver's probably going to lock up not the one seed, but there's a chance of that too. But I'm pretty sure they're going to lock up the AFC West. But we'll double check in the divisional standings. Vikings-Giants. Vikings win this game 16-13. It was just an absolutely disgusting game. There's a chance for the Giants to win this game. It felt like multiple times, but Jackson Dart just played a very, very bad game. 7 for 13 for 33 yards. Felt like play calling also just didn't really help him out at all. They ran the ball so much when he probably should be trying to develop. You could also say that the Vikings defense were able to shut him down a bit as well. J.J. McCarthy ends up leaving the game injured. So Mac Brosmer, and it sounds like J.J. McCarthy's out already this upcoming week, so Brosmer's going to be starting against the Lions, which hoping I can pick them up in fantasy for my championship. But, yeah, this was a really ugly game. And it's between two teams that really don't matter too much. So I'm not going to talk about it too much more. But, yeah, there's a big game for the Giants next week. They play the Raiders, and it is for the number 1 overall seed. Or, number 1 overall draft pick. Excuse me. I'm in playoff mode, not draft mode. Let's see. Bengals, they beat the Dolphins 45-21. This is another game where early it looked like it might be a game for bet going in the half at 17-14, and then the Bengals just absolutely blew the doors off them. Joe Burrow threw for 309 yards, basically did all of his damage in the first 3 quarters. Chase Brown had 3 touchdowns. Devon Achane had a pretty good day himself. Parker Washington had an awesome day, but yeah, it looked like for a minute the Dolphins might be fighting, and then they truly showed that they just have quit on the year at this point. So that's a team that is officially, I think, on quit watch. They just gave up in that game. Like, they were in the game and then just gave it straight up. So both teams, yet again, two teams that really aren't playing for much, but I mean, so disappointing. I thought the Dolphins might be able to actually steal it, and then just to watch them give up in the second half is just, oh. Well, that's fun. Falcons, they win 26-19. I won't lie to you. Don't remember much from this game. I just remember the Cardinals were up early to start, and then the Falcons were able to do a lot. I mean, Bijan went absolutely off. I do know that from remembering some of that from what I watched. But other than that, Cardinals were up, and then somehow, like they normally seem to do lately, they kind of blew it, and then all of a sudden they're down, and they just had no chance of coming back, it seemed like, which was crazy because it felt like this was a game where they potentially could have won it, but Jacoby Brissett also did not play the best. Really weird game for them offensively. I mean, it also doesn't help that they basically have no running backs as well at this point, so the running game's kind of not the best, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Bijan had a really, really awesome game, and he was kind of the reason that the Falcons won that game. Texans-Raiders. Texans are able to pull it out 23-21. This game, Ashton Jeanty did have a little late score for a 51-yard touchdown. Ashton Jeanty, man. Absolutely insane game for him. Just goes to show that if the Raiders actually had some pieces around him, he'd probably be pretty good. But overall, that was just a weird game where definitely the Texans came in thinking like, okay, we'll be able to handle business and be fine. And not realizing that, hey, you guys actually kind of have to show up wanting to beat this team. And the Raiders came to play. Like I said, if Ashton Jeanty had his probably best day as a career or as a pro so far, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week. Like I said, with the Raiders and Giants, they're battling for the number 1 overall draft pick, and the Raiders they have so many holes to fix that drafting Mendoza probably would help, but they still have a long way to go. Besides that, for the Texans, I mean, no Woody Marks was an issue a bit for the run game, but they were able to pull out the win. They, just like I said, this was a game where the Raiders really had a chance to win it, but just in the end, just weren't able to do it. It's going to be interesting to see if I mean, obviously the Texans defense, I think personally, didn't come fully ready to play, but I'm going to be curious to see if teams are going to be able to find something that they can exploit from this. But also, C.J. Stroud did not have the best of games either. He could have played a lot better. Let's see. We'll save Steelers-Lions. We'll save Patriots-Ravens. We'll save Jaguars-Broncos. Bucks-Panthers. Panthers ended up pulling it out 23-20. Bryce Young had a really good game. Tedero McMillan had an awesome game as well. Rico Dowdle and Juba Hubbard seemed like they're back to splitting carries, so those two are, I mean, it's just not good. Those are two backs that seem like they need to touch the ball a good amount so they can get into a rhythm, and they do not do well when they both split carries, which is kind of a detriment to both of them, so going to be interesting to see if they end up keeping Rico Dowdle into this offseason, franchise tagging him or just kind of letting him walk. But this is a Panthers team that they don't need to worry about that right now. They might be in the playoffs, man. They beat the Bucks, and both these teams are battling for the NFC South. Your first overall in the NFC South is the Carolina Panthers after the Bucks lost this game. Offensively, Baker Mayfield had another very below average day. Bucky Irving was in and out of the lineup, it seemed like, which was kind of weird. But overall, it comes down to Baker just not playing too well at all. And this Bucs team in general has just been on a really, really bad slide. I mean, this Bucs team is kind of comparable to the Colts, how both these teams have just been on horrendous slides, except the Bucs have all their guys healthy. And they have a majority of their guys back. Like, they're what's going on with them is just really, really weird. You wonder if it's a locker room thing, if it's a coach thing, if there's just some kind of funk going on. Maybe it's Baker Mayfield being a bit hurt. Who knows? But that was a really, really tough game to lose because now the Panthers, I think, kind of control their destiny. I mean, it sucks for the Panthers because they play the Seahawks this week, while the Bucks play the who do they play? Bucks play the Dolphins, which they should win that game, you would think. And then both those teams meet back up. Probably will have similar records again. It comes down to, I think, whoever wins that game wins the NFC South, which that'll be a really fun battle in Week 18. And then before we finally get into the last couple of games, Bills-Browns. Josh Allen, by far one of his worst days this season, I would say. Kind of killed his MVP hopes with how bad he played. His foot he also got banged up a bit with his foot, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. I think he x-rayed it, and he said he's going to be fine, but yeah, I mean, James Cook kind of really saved him in this game with how well he ran it on the ground. He ran for 117 on 16 carries, had 2 touchdowns, but Quinshon Judkins, man, really, really sad. He ends up breaking his leg, had a dislocated ankle, and I think there's one other injury he had. It's just really, really sad injury for him, man. He was being such a stud this year. Just such an awful injury to watch, but the Bills just didn't seem like their defense really didn't come to play fully. I mean, they had some moments where they were able to get some big key stops, but overall, this was another game where the Browns were very liable to steal it. They just weren't able to do enough to get over the hump, and then what also really hurt them was the fact that they lost. Losing Quinshon Judkins did not help at all because the way to get this Bills defense is to run on him, and losing him, they just didn't really have any backs that were able to get the job done. But like I said, only 130 passing yards for Josh Allen. Very, very poor game for him, which is also why this was a very close game as well. Because Bills don't have enough playmakers on the outside for Josh Allen to play that bad and win games. I mean, against the Browns will be able to, but against some of these better teams, that's probably going to bite him in the ass. Broncos, Jaguars. I want to talk about this game a bit because Trevor Lawrence had an amazing game. They win 34-20 over the Broncos. I'm impressed. It's to the point now where Trevor Lawrence has played a lot of games in a row. Is it one of those things where it's like you're hearing it a lot from other media people where they're like, hey, is he starting to figure it out in his 5th year? Or 6th year, whichever one it is. And he just might be, maybe. I'll admit, I've been saying some slanderous things about him, and so far he has proven me wrong. He has played really, really good football. Maybe he's finally starting to understand the scheme with Liam Cohen. Maybe this is just the right fit for him all along, and this is what he needed. But I also trust in Liam Cohen. I like Liam Cohen. So after he's been there now, it's like, okay, he might find something. But yeah, I truly think that Liam Cohen might be able to unlock Trevor Lawrence at this point. I mean, if he's going to keep playing this well, the Jaguars might be a problem because they have been really, really well. They've been playing really well defensively, especially Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne. He's been playing really well. It's Parker Washington, 6 for 145 and 1. Just absolutely went insane for them. And yeah, this is a team that might be a problem if Trevor Lawrence is going to keep playing this good. And like I said, I'm just legitimately impressed. My question is just like, can they keep this up? Can they keep doing this, or is this a fugazi? Personally, for me, because of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't fully believe in it just yet. I mean, I know I've been proven wrong by Trevor Lawrence, and I'll admit I am wrong with how he's been playing, but I'm still not going to put full 10 toes in the water with this Jacksonville Jaguars team. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to fall off, which I could be totally wrong, and this is a team that makes a run, but they have all the players. The thing is, they do have the players to do it at this point, and they're doing all this without Travis Hunter, which is also even crazier. That at this point, they'll probably would have just moved into full-on defense with having Jacoby Myers, and if they end up keeping Brian Thomas, they generally might. I don't know, though. He's such a talented wide receiver that they might keep him there, but they have weapons on offense. Their defense is very, very talented. I'm not going to say I'm a believer in the Jags, but I wouldn't be shocked anymore. It's one of those things where, I'm personally not going to buy in just yet, but I wouldn't be shocked anymore. Lions-Steelers, this game was absolutely insane. 29-24 win for the Steelers. This was another game that was back and forth. Absolutely insane fourth quarter. Lions they've been struggling a bit offensively, but Jared Goff ends up with 364 passing yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell just went absolutely nuts on the Lions. Kenneth Gainwell had an insane play on the sideline. Jalen Warren had 2 massive runs for touchdowns. But the biggest thing, I think, I mean, this whole game, like I said, ended up going back and forth. Lions had a chance to win it. Boswell missed a field goal, which seems really irregular for him. And all of a sudden, it comes down to like, okay, hey, the Steelers are only up 5. There's a chance that the Lions might be able to come back. They're driving down the field. Then there was that really weird offensive pass interference play where I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. I can see why they called it. Also see, we've seen it not called many of times, especially when it's deciding a game. So very weird call, very weird play in general. So then you got that, and then now you look a little bit later, and then the refs are talking for a long while. So there's no decision, and this was after Amon-Ra did the lateral, Jared Goff ends up scoring. So then the refs come out and say it was a touchdown. However, and then it goes on whatever they say happens, and no touchdown, game's over. And then it's just like, what? Just all at once, all of a sudden, it just gets basically told to you, like, hey, it is a touchdown, but it's not, game's over. Yeah. So it's just insane ending because you think, like I said, I'm kind of shocked it wasn't a touchdown, but at the same time, it's kind of one of the things, like, what's the catch in the NFL sometimes with these, like, with the illegal formations, the offensive pass interference, it's just sometimes with some of these calls you just go like, I don't know about that there. But this is one of those ones, like, just to decide the game. It just sucks to end up deciding the game and deciding a massive game like this that, yeah, you just, especially with the refs having it, their union contract being up at the end of the year, it's just one of those things where you look at it and, like I said, I'm not saying it in a positive or negative way. I'm just saying in general, there's just one of those many situations that's just going to get lumped in onto it now because this game ended on the call, regardless of what happened. Patriots-Ravens, this game was truly a really fun Sunday night game. We honestly had 3 great primetime games this week. Just, like I said, the Colts one got a little bit ugly and sideways towards the end, but it was around like 10-14 for most of the game, but it was still like a lot of action. This had action, close game, and a game-winning drive. Derrick Henry started off with a score. Drake May answered back with a score to Hunter Henry, and then it was just back and forth. There's a big play where Zay Flowers had a fumble. Derrick Henry also had a fumble in this game. But the greatest part about this game was 12:50 left. Derrick Henry scored a second rushing touchdown. It started to look like, okay, the Patriots might be in trouble here. And Derrick Henry basically doesn't get a touch after that point. So he's torching the Patriots at this, mind you. 128 on the ground rushing, 2 touchdowns. They just quit playing him. And this has happened multiple times before at this point with the Ravens. It was just really weird, especially when, Lamar ended up out with a back contusion at this point, and you still are not putting him in. You're still not putting him in. And after that, Drake May had an awesome deep pass to Kyle Williams for a touchdown. Then they also get a touchdown to Ramondre Stevenson with 2 minutes left to go. Then ends up going back to the Ravens. Rest is history. Patriots end up winning that game in a game that was a massive game for the MVP because basically that made it come down to it's between Drake May or Matt Stafford with how well those two have been playing. And that was an awesome comeback for the Patriots. I mean, it was one of those kind of a... Now, mind you, the Ravens aren't the best version of the Ravens this year, but they're still a pretty good team, and this was a massive win for the Patriots, especially they dealt with guys going out of the game like left and right. Travion Henderson went out very early. They lost a couple of guys defensively, so very big win for them. And like I said, they're still kind of fighting for the 1 seed. They're still a shot, so hey, massive win for the Patriots. As for the final game, Monday Night Football, we'll save the best for last because the Colts season is officially over again. 49ers win 48-27. They get a very late pick six that kind of helped seal it when they were up 10-14, I felt like, for most of the second half. The big story of the game is Phillip Rivers threw for 277, 2 touchdowns. He played awesome. I'm not mad at him at all. He played absolutely awesome. The Colts defense just no-showed that game completely, which is just a common theme, it seems like, for the Colts lately, where when games are on the line, either the whole team or parts of the team end up no-showing late in the season, and they end up missing the playoffs. It's beyond frustrating. Not going to lie, as a fan, it's beyond infuriating to watch this happen season after season after season. And hey, guess what? Another season of going into the offseason. Who's their quarterback? So I'm not going to harp on the Colts, so we need to talk more about these playoff teams and talk about like Christian McCaffrey, who had an awesome game. 49ers completely shut down Jonathan Taylor. George Kittle had one of his best days of his career. He had 7 for 115 and 1. Alec Pierce went absolutely off. He had 4 for 86. But yeah, I mean, when the Colts defense didn't force a punt all day yesterday, it was a beyond frustrating day for the Colts defense. And like I said, it was just one of their most important games. They weren't able to force a punt. Yeah, you just another season of missing a great start, missed the playoffs. You just got to wonder if there's going to be change in that building with no Jim Irsay now too going into the offseason. Who knows what to expect from them? But as for the 49ers, that's a massive win for them to keep their playoff or their one seed hopes alive. And because the Colts lost, we'll talk about some divisions or not divisions, excuse me, some wild card and everything. Broncos are locked in, Patriots are locked in, Jaguars are locked in, Chargers are locked in, Bills are locked in. It comes down to the Steelers, Texans, Baltimore. I mean, basically, if the Texans win next week, they're in. The Texans have to lose both their games. Colts have to win out. Texans and Colts play at the end of the year, but I mean, the Texans are probably making the playoffs. Texans are playing the Chargers next week. I mean, maybe the Chargers win that game, but Colts are in Jacksonville next week. That's the only thing. And the Colts are at home against Jacksonville, 6-point dogs to Jacksonville. So, I mean, there's a chance. I mean, it'd be the most. Won't lie to you. There is a chance that, hey, maybe they kind of threw that game against the 49ers defensively because they really wanted to focus on these next two games. There is a realistic shot of that, but let's be honest. Probably not going to happen, sadly, with what's just been going on with the Colts. So if there's a chance to make the playoffs, we'll have to see. I'm not 100% sure, though. Assuming they don't, though, that leaves us with the Jags and the Texans pretty much just fighting for who's going to be the third seed and who's going to be the 7th seed or 6th seed, maybe. As for the NFC, looking at their side, Seahawks are locked in, Bears are locked in, Eagles are locked in, 49ers are locked in, Rams are locked in, Lions, Packers, and Bucks are all still kind of viable in. For the Bucks, Panthers is just a battle who's going to be the 4th seed. That's probably going to come down to Week 18. Packers, Lions, and Bears are all fighting for either the 2 seed, or I guess if they don't win it, 2 seed, 3 seed, or the 7th seed. So, like I said, it's probably going to be Packers, Bears, the way it's kind of looking. Lions need a lot of help to go their way. They're a full game out, and the Colts are 2 games out, by the way, in their situation. So, but yeah, overall looking at that kind of makes you think that, okay, the playoffs are probably set. We kind of know who's going to be in it. It's just a matter of, let's finish up some of these seedings and let's see who does what. Like I said, I guess the Colts still have a chance. Let's hope for something, but that team always breaking my damn heart. Finish off with some awards, though. Matt Stafford minus 195 for MVP. Drake Mays plus 170. So, like I said, that's between those two, basically. Coach of the Year, Vrabel's plus 175. Kyle Shanahan's now jumped up to plus 220. Mike McDonald's plus 380. Ben Johnson's plus 600. Those are basic, and then Liam Cohen's plus 800. So, I guess those 5 are it. But with how easy the Patriots' schedule is, I still think Vrabel's probably going to edge them all out. Especially with this the Patriots were really bad last year, and they still haven't fully got a lot of their pieces in. That's just a nice turnaround for him. But any of those coaches are honestly deserving of it. Offensive Player of the Year, it's between Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's minus 185. Puka Nakua's is plus 185, and Christian McCaffrey's plus 1100. And then it's a complete drop off a cliff after that. Comeback Player of the Year, minus 750, Christian McCaffrey. Trevor Lawrence is plus 1,000. Philip Rivers is plus 1,400. I mean, probably going to be McCaffrey based on the odds. And, I mean, honestly, Trevor Lawrence wouldn't be a horrible one, but yeah, it's probably going to end up being McCaffrey, I would think. Myles Garrett, I mean, he's a clear favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, then you got Nick Bonito. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter being next to each other kind of tells you, yeah, it's probably going to be Myles Garrett. And then if you look at Offensive Rookie of the Year, Tedero McMillan's minus 320. Tyler Shough is plus 370. That's been jumping around a lot. So this is the market I'm the most curious in. Ibuka's plus 1,300. Trevor Henderson had a shot until he got injured, but now he's 22-1. Dart's 25-1. Genty's 30-1. But I truly think it's going to come down to Shough or McMillan. Shough can win these next 2 games for the Saints, which seem like it's a very real possibility. He has a chance to win that award, but it's been minus 285. I bet I hedged Tedero McMillan at minus 285. I threw it in with a Stafford MVP and Vrabel Coach of the Year. I threw that little 3-leg in to hedge my Tyler Shough Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I got that at minus 285. And then at one point, Tedero was minus 400. Now he's back down to minus 320. Shough is plus 370. I got Shough at 260-1. So this is I'll admit, out of all the awards, this is the one I'm most curious to watch. So it's going to be interesting with the Panthers having a chance to make the playoffs. Taylor Rhodes has been huge for them, but he does have some games where he can be really quiet. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially playing the Seattle Seahawks defense next week. And I think the Saints... Let's just go over the Saints play real quick. The Saints play Tennessee and Atlanta, so those are definitely two games that are very winnable. So, hey, there's a chance for that. So I will be rooting for Shook. And then Defensive Rookie of the Year, there's only three guys. James Pierce, Nicky Manwari, plus 750, plus 700. Carson Schwarzenegger's minus 700. So if anything, I would probably stay away from that, to be honest. Now let's finish off. Let's just talk some quick college, because let's be honest, most of these games went how we projected them to for when it comes to college football playoff-wise. A bit, not totally, but kind of. We'll talk about the two blowouts first. Tulane, Ole Miss. Tulane just got handled by Ole Miss. Ole Miss just jumped on them early and just ran away with it. I'll admit, I ended up not watching this game because once I saw it was 14-0 when I was about having a chance to watch, okay, so that's probably over. And it ended up being over. As for James Madison, Oregon was up massive. What is that? 34-6 at halftime. Ends up being 51-34. James Madison was able to make a run a little bit on the 2s and 3s of the Oregon Ducks, but Oregon was able to handle business, and they did just enough now where Dan Lanning's probably going to be ripping into them. So that Texas Tech game in 2 weeks, can't wait, man. Going to be weird not to have any college football playoff games this week, but we do have some bowl games, which we will break down tomorrow and give out bets for to cover us over until then. But the other two college playoff games, Miami, Texas A&M. Miami is winning 10-3. The win was insane in this game, so it basically came down to just field position battle, defensive battle, and what really won Miami the game is they started leaning on the run a little bit, and when they did that, they were able to get some big runs out of Mark Fletcher. Sorry, I about read Ruben Owens' wrong name. Mark Fletcher was able to get some big runs, and he had one, I think it was like a 30-40, it was like 25 to 40-yard run, I forget which, that basically was a run that led them to getting the touchdown when it looked like, all right, Texas A&M might be able to do something at a stop. He had that massive run. It's like, oh, that feels like the run that might win them the game. And sure enough, they were able to score on that drive. Marcel Reed had a bad interception in the end zone to end it, and Texas A&M loses at home. Miami, Florida wins on the road, and now they play Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm sorry, that took me really long to figure out. And then also, I was reading, apparently, that Deshaun Watson's not going to be activated for this year. I don't think it's too shocking, but, yeah, sorry. That popped in my mind. I was about to say Ohio State, and I just... brain exploded. Alabama, Oklahoma, this was probably... Texas A&M, Miami was good, but this is probably one of the more fun games. Alabama was able to come back. They went 34-24. They were down 17-0. John Retier missed. He didn't miss, but the guy dropped a wide-open touchdown that felt like that was the play of the game, and after that, all the momentum kind of seemingly started to roll in Alabama's way. They were just able to do a lot more on offense, and Oklahoma's struggling offense has been, but like I said, Oklahoma really had a chance to put them away early. They just weren't able to. Alabama was able to survive that punch, and they make the comeback to win 34-24. Now they play Indiana, which should be a really fun game. But yeah, going next week's games that we'll break down next week. Miami of Florida minus 9.5 over, or sorry, they're plus 9.5 against Ohio State. Ohio State almost 10-point favorites. That's going to be, but it's on New Year's Eve, and you know what happened the last few times Ohio State's played on New Year's Eve. Oregon and Texas Tech, that's a 1-point spread game. That should be just really fun. Indiana, 6.5 favorites, over Alabama. Who would have thought we'd see the day? Indiana, 6.5-point favorites over Alabama. And then you got Georgia, 6.5-point favorites over Ole Miss. But like I said, we'll break down those games and do some more on tomorrow's episode, which I'll get it out super early in the morning because of Christmas Eve and everything, and then we'll be able to watch. You'll be able to have it for that day, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, whenever you need it. Southern for the bowl games today, I'm on Louisville minus 6.5. I got it at 8.5 as well, and then 9.5 I just stayed away, so I don't mind it. 6.5, didn't mind it 8.5. Nothing Western Kentucky, Southern Miss, nothing UNLV, Ohio, and tomorrow I will probably be on Hawaii if I had to guess, but we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for support. Really do appreciate it. I'll be back in this feed pretty early tomorrow because the plan is I have family Christmas to go to, so hopefully for Christmas Eve. Hopefully everyone has good holidays, by the way. I forgot to say that in the intro. So the plan is I'm going to try to hit the gym early, come back here, pump out the Pickem episode. Because I won't lie to you, I tried to risk it all for us in Pickem this week. We kind of tanked it, so it's more going to be of a breakdown of these last 2 weeks of the season because I don't think your boy's getting podium this year. We tried for it. I mean, if you ain't first, you're last, let's be honest. So, getting second and third would have been cool for the money, but if we aren't going to get that, we might as well try to risk it and win a week or two these last couple weeks. But we'll do a little bit more of that tomorrow. And like I said, we're going to try to get that out early, so hopefully that'll be out by like 10, 11 a.m. So then you'll have all weekend to watch that. And yeah, should be a fun week. We got some bowl games to talk about. We're talking about NFL Week 17. We only got 2 more weeks left to pick up, man. And that's just going to become a breakdown series to finish off the playoffs. And then, man, crazy to think that we're less than a month away from the offseason again. Time flies too quick, man. But hope everyone has a good holidays. I'll be back in this feed tomorrow to have a little bit of Christmas Eve festivities along with Pickem action, break down my bets for Week 17, and get us prepped for a fun holiday weekend.